Hello, everybody. Welcome to our new podcast, ladstrippingthroughtime. I am Raymond,
I'm a
and
fool. I don't
I'm
know
joined
why I'm
today
here.
by my co-host. I'm joined today by my co-host,
Yes, I'm
Cleveland.
here. I've been
Uh,
conscripted to come to this podcast because Raymond's bored.
well, not bored. It's more creatively inspired by COVID, and
You should probably give a time scale of like what's going on at the moment in the world so that they know.
So right now the world is on fire. There's protests everywhere. Coronavirus is happening. If this gets found by aliens visiting the charred husk of what was human civilization, hopefully they'll enjoy this podcast, because what this podcast is about is human development throughout time and history and things like that. Except it's not boring and read by a middle-aged anthropologist.
Yeah.
It's like. So essentially, what this podcast whole idea is, it's not scientific by any means. So please do not use this in your college
Actually, you know
paper,
what?
because you will fail.
Use it, but then show me,
Do use it.
and then I'm gonna call you an idiot.
Yeah. So we're just gonna go through all of human history from when we discovered fire up until, I don't know, what would be decent recent history. The fall of
Coronavirus.
communism. I mean, coronavirus is still ongoing.
You know, in 20 years from now, they're gonna have that in textbooks. I've seen like, I don't know, 5 memes of that already.
Yeah, and it's also a good date as well. 2020, 2020. It's easy to remember, you know? It's like 1945 is an easy date to remember.
Yeah, I think we should stop speaking about where we are
Anyway.
now and start getting on.
Anyway, we should start like a long time ago, when we discovered fire, like 2 million years ago. Think about that. 2 million years ago, a caveman. Well, that's an old cave term, but a caveman.
Great times like a 1,000. I don't know, grandfather or aunt or mother. You know, just kind of crawled out of a cave and was like, hey, I'm gonna be a human.
I'm gonna bang 2 rocks together and make a spark and set things on fire. And from that moment on, 2 million years later, we have landed on the moon. So I would say it was probably the greatest achievement at that point.
That's kind of biased. I mean, you are human.
Well, it's a very human bias thing, but we can't bias against anyone, because all the other human species are dead, and there's no aliens yet.
Yet.
We haven't.
Dude, it's 2020. You don't know.
Well, July is coming. For any new viewers who are not familiar with us, we are not Australians. We are not British. We are, in fact, South Africans. That's why we have these outrageous accents that no one can pin down, especially the Americans. So, yeah, don't ask me what part of the UK I'm from.
You know what? You can ask what part of the UK I'm from. I'm just gonna look at you. So, you know what? Go ahead.
Say Ireland.
Yeah.
Even though it's not
Just
part
do a
of the
little bit
UK
of a
anymore.
jig. Anyways, yeah. I think we just offended like I don't know how many Irish people.
That one Irish member who stumbled on this through his YouTube recommendations is probably really upset. Okay, so let's talk about the discovery of fire and what it entails throughout human history. So fire was discovered not by our human species, Homo sapiens. It was discovered by Homo erectus. Now, let's get all the erection jokes out of the way.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie with you, Deece. That's kind of childish.
I mean,
no, I'm joking.
And also, another disclaimer for our viewers: Deece is my gamer tag that Cleveland.
Yes, I call him by
know.
that because I hate calling him Raymond. Anyways, they're Homo erectus because they stand up, right?
Well, many many human species before Homo erectus also stood up, such as Australopithecus, which means southern ape. And then there's also Homo habilis, which discovered tools. But we're not going to talk about those lame ones. We're going to talk about fire and what happens afterwards.
So we speak about Homo erectus and on. So like, I just want to know, like, what scientist named the Homo erectus? Like, did he? If it wasn't because it was standing up, did he like finna look down at his pants and was like, hey, you know, I know what I'm gonna call this thing.
I don't think that carries on through human fossils. I mean, unless you go to Pompeii and they're preserved in ash and you see that one dude cranking it up. Like, if you don't know, you should Google masturbating man.
No, don't Google masturbating
in
man.
Pompeii. In Pompeii, ash clay figure.
I actually saw a photo of a guy with a brick through his face, like in Pompeii. It was pretty insane.
I mean, I don't think you saw that coming, and will ever see it coming. So, like the man who was cranking.
I'll put that on screen for reference.
Wait, which one?
Both.
Anyway, we're getting sidetracked again because we've got the attention span of dust
It's fine.
mites,
I'll edit all the out.
Yeah, for those viewers who don't know, Cleveland is going to be my editor as well as co-host, which means I just came up with the idea and saddled him with all the work, really.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah,
that just adds to the fact that I've been conscripted, pretty much.
Well, you had the opportunities to
I
say
did?
no.
Okay, I'm gone.
You. No, okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Just edit that out.
No, it's fine.
Okay, so where were we? With who discovered the names of Homo erectus? Well, I don't know which scientist named Homo erectus specifically, but Carolus Linnaeus was the Swedish, scientist who decided, let's name every animal on the planet. Let's give him a structure. King Peter caught out from good sex, which is kingdom father.
Really? I was just thinking
class,
genus, and then
yeah,
you come at me with this weird. What are those called again?
That's the key to use. It's the classification of species or something.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking genus.
So let's continue with the different kinds of species. So at one point in time, about, I don't know, I'd assume 200,000 years ago, 300,000 years ago, there was about 4 human species that I know about living at one time. So there was us in East Africa, Homo sapiens, Homo neanderthalis in Eurasia, so from about the Caucasus Mountains all the way to Britain. So those were your Neanderthals that everyone likes to stereotype as the stupid caveman, even though they had more brain mass than we did. Homo erectus in Asia, and Homo floresiensis on the island of Florence in Indonesia. And they're interesting because they're only like 3 foot tall at most, and they managed to... They did hunt elephants, although the elephants themselves were also a diminutive variant of the Indian elephant, so it kind of balances out. I think I'm taller than one of those elephants as well.
And Deece is not a very tall boy, so that's saying quite a lot.
I'm 5'10", which is completely average for a Homo sapien male in the 21st century.
Yeah, if you live in China.
That's racist.
But they are all short. It's not racist.
Well, no, it is facts. I mean, the average height in China is, I don't know. Let me Google.
Probably has something to do with that Homo erectus.
Well, Homo erectus was pretty tall. I think.
Was?
Average. Well, they are called standing up, erectus. So, average height of People's Republic of China. So it's about 5'2".
Yeah,
for females. No, for males is 5'6". So
they're not that tall.
See, I'm taller than average in China. So
yeah,
if you go to the Netherlands, then I'm way below average, because
Yep.
those are tall blokes. Anyways, let's see why Homo erectus is named the way it is.
I told you, dude. Scientists just finna look down.
It just means upright man. And their average height was about 6'1". So that's not too bad. That's pretty generous.
For an average height, that means like the deviation. I mean, we have a deviation of like what, 7 inches today.
Well,
from
the smallest
standard.
Homo erectus ever found was 4'8".
Okay,
So-
fair enough. Yeah.
And Neanderthals were pretty short at an average height of about 5'5" feet, according to Google. So everyone thinks they're these big, strong, stupid cavemen banging clubs against, I don't know, women or something like that.
Yeah. Very good point, Deece.
But see, the thing is, the question on everybody else's mind that I can feel swimming throughout the viewers' heads on YouTube is, why are we left? Why is there only us? Well, so there are 2 theories that I have learnt about of where all the other species went. You've got integration theory, that Homo sapiens, when they migrated out of Africa to Asia and Europe, they saw a few Neanderthals and said, I'm going to paraphrase here, I would tap that.
Yeah.
So we eventually bred them out, and there is some scientific proof of this because you and I have 2% Neanderthal DNA in our bloodstream. I don't know about Homo erectus though.
I'm sure
I think
that'll
we
be harder
also-
to find.
I think we might have bred with a few Homo erectus women as well, as Homo sapiens. And the second theory, which held weight for quite a while, and some people still do, which is fine. It's the scientific community. You can debate these things. Is the genocide theory that there was competition for food and hunting grounds in the Ice Age, and if you see a trespasser or something different to you competing with you, naturally you hit it over the head with a club and it dies and you get the food. So
Yeah.
it's not that far of a stretch either, because we are starting wars over religion and huge protests about race and everything like that. Imagine a completely different human species, the amount of anger that would bring everyone else.
Yeah. I think yeah, I mean, like, we can even compare different races to different kinds of, human. I mean, technically, they're just different. No, they're not different species. They're different races, obviously. But
So this is a very hot topic, and I'd like to disclaim that we are not racist.
yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, that's probably why we have such aggression toward each other, and like why we like to keep borders and that kind of thing.
I think there's more tribalism than anything else, because what Homo sapiens are really good at doing, as well as Neanderthals, although we did it better, hence why we're still here, is coordinate. That's probably the cognitive revolution is the big reason why we control this planet, is because we can coordinate in groups. Because if you compare us to other animals, we are pretty weak,
Yeah.
standing on 2 legs. And just like wolves who hunt in packs, we can do that too, except on a much bigger scale and with language, which, lets us do cool stuff like throw spears at the same time.
Yeah.
You don't see
Coordination.
porcupines amassing in rows and firing quills at the same time, like Napoleonic warfare.
I don't think porcupines shoot quills.
Well, if they could, it would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty
Yeah,
cool.
Genocide theory, how's that?
I mean, obviously, it seems like something a human would do, especially one of us, since we're Homo sapiens, and there have been people of our kind that have, done that before. Not naming any genocides, but it isn't human nature. So I think that's why there are two theories. Is because you can't really say that there's one that works. You know.
Well, both definitely happen. I mean, we
I know,
definitely
100%.
we definitely clapped Neanderthal over the head with a club and clapped them in other ways as well.
Yeah, but I mean, there is evidence today that we bred with Neanderthals, so you kind of have to have that in, and then it's kind of obvious that we did fight against the Neanderthals for dominance, at some point. Otherwise,
I mean,
they would still be around.
Same way bears and wolves, compete for resources in Yellowstone. So
yeah.
And Cleve, I need to ask you a very important question.
Go for it.
Could you see yourself mating with a Neanderthal?
No.
No? Well,
No.
someone would have said yes. Like,
they're just gonna. I mean, if we look at human history, even with like the Vikings and stuff, they just kind of used to land on. They used to land, rape and pillage, and then leave. So I mean, they just finna capture a couple Neanderthals, give them a good bum rush, and then run off.
I mean, it could be seen as a dominance thing, probably. I mean, when you raid a Neanderthal's cave and you steal all their food, and I don't think they stole many of their tools, because Neanderthal tools weren't that great compared to humans. Yeah, it's just sharpened rocks that they found anywhere. For us, we specifically used monoliths. Us humans used monoliths, which is like flint or chert, which is pretty good for stabbing and slicing. Compared to just, sharp rock tied to the end of a stick.
Yeah.
We take down mammoths way better with our specialized tools, which is
It
also
does help that they
probably
were
the reason.
sharper. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's also probably a reason why we bred them out, because we could hunt better and kill food better. We just starve them.
Yeah. I think like it's just like evolution theory, like the next evolution could be worse or better, and our one just happened to be better in every way than the Neanderthals. I mean, besides brain mass, but
well, Homo erectus, they also used tools. I think they used just smashing rocks as well. But they must have done something right, because they are the oldest and most successful human species, about 1.8 million years longer than us. We've got a long way to catch up, and to be quite fair, I do not think we will survive another 10,000 years, let alone 1.8 million. So we have a long way to the finish line to beat Homo erectus as the most successful human species.
when I think like about how long they lived, I think the only reason why they lived that long is because they probably didn't have as much of a primal sense, that kind of need to fight and that kind of thing than we do. I think that makes a big difference.
Well, they definitely fought each other.
Oh no, 100%, yeah, but that's like it's not nearly as much as we do. No Homo erectus would have invented a genocidal nuclear bomb. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, it's because of their brain matter. I think were they bigger than us? I don't know, but humans went through the cognitive revolution, not the others. So they didn't get the smarts, to coordinate better and invent new things, because they were banging rocks and starting fire
and banging
for
each
about
other.
and obviously banging each other for about 2 million years without any new sort of revolution, whilst we've gone to literally blasting rockets in space within 200,000 years. So
yeah, no, it's a big difference. There's quite a lot of change that happens.
But it might be our downfall in the end. I mean, Greta Thunberg can tell you something like that now.
I have a feeling that it will. I think we'll be our death. I don't think anything. I mean, unless aliens just decide to rock up, all of a sudden. I think we'll kill ourselves off.
We might. I mean, we have nuclear bombs that can do that within 24 hours.
Yeah,
Just kind of a scary thought.
I'm convinced that time travel exists. Like, how the f*** did we survive the Cold War?
one Soviet submarine decided not to launch their nuclear arsenal during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Time travel.
Okay.
The
Maybe
time
one
traveler
guy
went back and stopped them.
It's like, listen, dude. I'm from the Institute in Fallout, and it's like,
yeah,
don't let that thing loose, you know.
Raiding target and all that stuff. I don't actually know what you can get at a target. I'm just gonna use a comparison of like a spa or something.
Well, for the viewers that don't know, I live in the United States. He's still stuck in South Africa. So, actually, I'm stuck in the United States. He's in South Africa because the situations right now. So, essentially, what you can get at Target is pretty cool stuff. Like, okay, just to digress from human evolution, let's talk about Target. It's kind of like Woolworths, clothes aisle, the clothes aisle in Woolworths. They have a similar thing going on. Except they also sell things like TVs and, video games and home decor, kind of like scented candles and stuff like that, as well as, I don't know, do they have a food aisle? I do not think so.
Woolworths has a food aisle.
They don't sell guns, unlike Walmart though, because this is America and we have guns.
I've always found that like insane how Walmart sells guns. I mean, I completely support guns. I'm just saying. But like, no. But just the fact that you can get something that you can defend yourself with at a Walmart is like insane for me. Because here, getting like, how many people have a gun in South Africa? I mean, you could probably fit all of the people's names onto one page if you type it in. If you like have it in, I don't know.
1 A2 size paper.
Yeah. Whereas in America, you probably can't even fathom that amount. Yeah, carry on.
Neanderthals would still exist if they had Walmart to give them AR-15s to beat back the Homo sapiens. But unfortunately, there was no Walmart 2 million years ago. Or 200,000 years ago when all three of us were around.
Alien Walmart. Walmart built the pyramids. Yeah. Anyways.
Walmart built the pyramids. Oh
I'm starting a new movement. Changed my mind.
They could have, but the pyramids fit in 2 episodes from now. So for the viewers, this is going to be a weekly thing. I don't know, Cleve, when are you going to release these videos? Every Monday? I'll
release them probably actually every Wednesday.
But okay, so for the viewers, we are going to have a weekly schedule every Wednesday. We shall release an episode, and each episode will take a certain part of human development. So, as I've stated in the intro, so this week is fire, next week is agricultural revolution, and then the Bronze Age after that, and so on and so forth. The Iron Age episode, I'm going to warn you now, is probably going to be the most boring episode to talk about. We have 2 million years worth of source material for this one, which is the biggest one, but we don't have that much info because it's not like Neanderthals wrote anything down. You do have cave paintings though.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, like what we know about humans back then is, what we can look at in ourselves, what we can look at in fossils. We can't exactly speak to. Well, that's subjective. I still think that there's Neanderthals around, but.
I mean, there's one. Not to be political or anything, but there's one in the White House currently. So.
What, Donald Trump?
Yes.
I disagree, but anyways.
I know you disagree, which is why I said it.
Very cool.
Keep that in. Yeah. So, the first human settlements. Let's talk about that. At some parts of the Fertile Crescent in the Middle East, there was an abundance of wheat and barley that was just growing completely naturally. So this was like on the road to the agricultural revolution, where people just went outside, picked as many seeds as they could eat, and just went back home. which allowed people to sort of settle down and sit on the riverbank and play all day, which leads to people building houses out of stone and thatch and wood and things. So we're starting to see about 20 15,000 years ago, you've got the Natufians who started
I think we're going too far ahead. I think we need to go back to things that killed humans.
Well, things that kill humans is usually other humans, plague, and...
No, but there was still... we had natural predators. Like, we weren't unchallenged. We were just really good at getting away from our predators.
Yeah, saber-toothed tigers for one, That's fun to contend with on a daily basis. A huge furry boy with long teeth.
Yeah, what was the other one? The giant sloth. Yeah.
I don't think that killed anybody on purpose. It just was so huge. It probably just stepped on you. A mammoth stampede. That's a good way to get your cardio going for an evening.
Yeah, no.
Because you need to outrun that.
Dude, can you imagine running away from a freaking mammoth?
Well, usually we're running towards them with spears in hand, but once the whole herd starts running towards you, luckily we are the most efficient species at running for long periods of time, but that initial gap you need a bridge is pretty difficult, so the rule still stands. You don't need to run faster than the animal, just faster than your friends, really.
Yes, a rule truly for the survival handbook. Anyways, yeah, I mean, we obviously don't have many predators besides ourselves, but like early on, I doubt there were many humans finding, other humans from other tribes. There weren't very many of us, right?
I mean...
Because there was a point that we almost went extinct.
Yeah, the Ice Age. It was a pretty difficult time when, food was always scarce and we were always one meal away from dying. Because, nothing stayed the same, weather speaking. So it was difficult to tell what animal would be in season next year or what sort of plants will be in season 3 or 2 months from now. So naturally that would make one hungry to think about, because you don't have any food.
Yeah. I mean, of course,
it's
can't go for very long without food.
It's like one big perpetual gulag, really, environmentally speaking.
Yeah, especially Can you imagine freaking living in the Ice Age? Because that would be cold.
It would be cold, especially if you were Neanderthal. Imagine, like, you're just trying to hunt and do your daily thing, and then a trio of a mammoth, a sloth, and a saber-toothed tiger are, like, trying to bring this baby back to your tribe. And for some reason,
Shut up.
they speak an advanced language that you've never heard before. And
Ice Age.
I mean, that meme was like so weird, of people just wanting to cause harm to that Neanderthal, if it is a Neanderthal baby.
Yeah, I don't know what that thing is. Have you seen how ugly that baby is? That baby should fucking die.
I mean, you're in the meme too. You're onto that whole thing as well.
Yeah.
But I wonder, did Sabertooth actually just go full on blitzkrieg tribal, villages so they could steal babies?
I doubt that. I think they're much like wolves are today, where they just go after the weak. So if it was like an injured human, they just finna grab that. Or like, I don't think that they'd like actively attack the village,
But that whole blitzkrieg coordinated strike thing would be cool, though.
It would, yeah.
Yeah.
The freaking vultures just fly over and start dropping V2.
They also tried to recreate the whole Noah's Ark story, like with the second Ice Age. Sorry, guys, we're talking about the movie now.
Okay, I'm not speaking about the movie anymore. Okay, listen. I think the Ice Age would suck.
I mean, the Ice Age would suck because no food. There's
It's the Ice Age, yeah. Nothing grows,
Well,
can you imagine?
We did experience a little Ice Age. From the medieval period up until the Industrial Revolution, there was something called the Little Ice Age that made things a bit hard to grow.
But we'll get there, that's not for this episode.
It's still an Ice Age.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, and just to cycle back to fire, we had a very cool method of cooking our food. We would set a whole forest on fire and
to fry our sirloin, yeah.
Yeah, and then we'd just walk across the ashen floor and pick up roasted nuts and dead squirrels and things like that and eat it and be like, hey, that is pretty good. Because
hey, this shit tastes good, holy moly.
So charred dead squirrel that fell from a tree and burned alive, and you're gonna eat that because it tastes good.
Exactly.
And we did this naturally for millions of years. Just burn down a whole forest so you can grab some. But the main staple of hunting for humans and for Neanderthals was reindeer, caribou.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, well, yeah, actually that kind of makes sense because of the whole Ice Age thing.
And also Europe was bloody cold at the time, so there's plenty of reindeer around to hunt. Like, there was also some story I saw on National Geographic like years and years ago that I for some reason remember. They would set torches on fire, and that naturally would scare the caribou, and they'd all march in one big, unit and just scare all the caribou off a cliff, and they'd climb down the cliff and just, pick up the animals. It's and it's like a whole herd at a time that they just tip over a cliff. So plenty of food to go around.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you dry that meat, and you got non-perishables.
Yeah, and you could travel. That's probably like how. You think that's also how like some of the first humans got all the way to America? Because I know that happened during the Ice Age. They crossed from the top of Europe and they went to Canada, right?
No, top of Asia, between Alaska and Russia.
Yeah. Okay, well.
So it was Siberian Homo sapiens that made their way across Beringia, I think the land bridge was called. And that's how humans made it to North and South America, and then, about how many years? About, 17,000 years later, little Italian boy on his boat landed and found them. What else do I have to talk about?
We were speaking about the foraging still, how in Asia they were living off of that, which is, by the way, also one of the reasons why there's such a big population. One of the theories I have in India and China is because it's so easy to live there, just off the land. And so they started. River. Yeah, they started off with just primarily just a very large population, because it was so easy. You could literally pick up I'm just thinking of Garden of Eden kind of thing,
But see, the Garden of Eden was if you believe in it, the Bible, the Garden of Eden was situated in the Fertile Crescent that I mentioned before, which is between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in Iraq and Syria. That's where some people think the Garden of Eden used to be. And you can understand that as well, because, as I also said before, the amount of barley and wheat that allowed the first human settlements to come to be. So, and plenty of fruit as well. I wouldn't suggest eating fruit from some particular tree. If you catch my drift.
It was just a lot easier, yeah. It was a lot easier to find stuff that wasn't going to kill you.
Well, you see, this didn't kill you. It's just a certain person told you not to eat from this tree, and
okay. Let's not get into religion.
Well, we can call them creation myths for the scientifically endowed. I'm probably going to get a phone call later on saying I'm not being religious enough. But we're talking about evolution, so I'm my own person now. And we can talk about Homo erectus as much as we want to. Homo erections, that's something completely different. But
that is something completely different. I don't think we should talk about that one though.
we could talk about it.
Yeah,
just don't Google it.
You know
But
what?
I mean-
Actually, Google a homo erection.
I'm not gonna Google that. But the viewers can, and some of the viewers probably have, depending on
Your
just saying,
sexual orientation.
Yeah. Yeah. And we accept all of them here.
We should probably still speak about religion, like especially back then, because
Shamanism.
they definitely had some kind of religion. Like, can you imagine seeing a forest burning down and not thinking it's some higher freaking being, you know? Like, you don't know what fire is.
I mean, just
you know?
lightning.
Yeah, lightning. Oh my god. Like, have you seen how scared children are? The only reason why people nowadays, you know, when they get older, don't really get scared of lightning anymore is because they know what it is. But some people still do.
The thing is, a lot of scientists are still debating about, you know, what it is. Like, we all know it's static building up in the clouds and releasing, but the mechanisms by which are, for some reason, still unknown to us. And, I mean, it's a huge bolt of light in the sky that sets things on fire and kills whatever. So, I mean, without the scientific knowledge, you're gonna start thinking it's some form of supernatural.
Yeah, and
effect,
not
you know.
just that, but like the sun too. I can't think of a single like religion that isn't you know, a recent religion. Recent being, you know, Christianity and Sunni, that kind of thing. I can't think of one that doesn't have some form of saying like or standing or relevance to the sun, you know. Or the moon.
Or the
yeah.
moon, you know. There's lots of religions that have creation myths about, you know, the sun or the moon, or how it eventually, you know, makes its way throughout the sky and sets and the moon comes up and whatever. I think the Romans, I know for a fact that, and this will be fine because it's a creation myth, we can keep this in, the Romans believed, or was it the Greeks? I don't know, don't quote me on it. The night sky is a blanket with holes in it, and the holes were the stars, and that's daytime, sort of, behind the blanket.
It's like a big blanket was just pulled over the world as it went to the next day.
And Apollo's like behind it or something, because he's the
Yeah,
sun, you know. And with the cavemen, I mean, I think each tribe that hasn't seen each other in a while will have their own sort of story about how the sun or the moon came to being. Because storytelling became a thing after the cognitive revolution.
That doesn't surprise me, yeah.
Because being able to, you know, communicate with people to the finest detail is probably our biggest evolutionary advantage.
Yeah, because we can communicate ideas so we can actually improve.
Yeah, so unlike monkeys who are able to, you know, use some form of tools like, you know, taking a stick and putting it in an anthill and getting termites out, they haven't improved on that. They just copy and learn. Monkey see, monkey do. Whilst we see and do, and also throughout generations try and improve through the use of language and storage of data through mouth and tongue. Because it's very easy to say Grug smash rock, you know, but we have the ability to say Grug is smashing a rock over there so that he can, you know. That's like communicating to the finest detail, you know.
Well, and then like that's why things, you know, we just improved. Like hunt spears probably evolved into, you know, some guy stuck a spear on the end of a springy stick, and then was like, hey, what happens if I put a string between these and you know, shoot this at my friend? Oh, he dies. I can use this to hunt animals.
I mean, sure, probably more along the lines of a rope or like a really long piece of vine or something that was really stretchy. And someone
but like,
was probably
how do you think
fooling
of
around.
that?
Well, he was probably really bored and fooling around and it's like, hey, I got the spear. I'm all alone waiting for my friend to come back from a hunting party or whatever. So I'm just gonna put the end of the spear right here onto that, and twang, it flew 3 feet. And he's like, I could improve on this. And it's that question, that statement, that sets us apart from everyone else, really.
Yeah.
I mean, Neanderthals did that too, but
not as well as we did it.
Just not as well.
Yeah.
We're gonna pat ourselves on the back and be completely, haughty.
The one thing that we all have in common is that we are just all smarter than Neanderthals.
And Homo erectus.
But we don't speak about the erect ones.
But dude, it's so fun to just say erectus,
Are you like 12?
Yes. Mentally, I am a 12-year-old.
Very cool. You should probably get that checked out. So I was also thinking so obviously in this in this episode we're not going to speak about agriculture. Agriculture comes later.
We could do a small introduction.
No, but I'm thinking about foraging, that kind of thing. Like, where did the food come from besides the hunting? Because we had very, very primitive animal husbandry back then.
Kind of.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have dogs,
There's a cave in Spain. I mean, France, sorry, and of course it's the French. There was a cave, and they found lots of snail shells in there. And it was found out that, these specific humans, I think they were Homo sapiens, were corralling snails and breeding out the weak ones, and they were just farming snails. And naturally, I think it's just fitting that it was found in a French cave.
Yeah, because it's snails, yeah.
Yeah.
They probably did that with frogs next.
Probably. I mean, frogs are completely edible. And you can, if you catch them and put them in a little cage, you can farm them pretty easily. Did cavemen have seasoning for snails? I wonder. Did they even have the concept?
I'm pretty sure one of them was like, hey, the sea salt that I found in, the salt plains of Bulgaria tastes pretty good. How about we stick this on some, on a deer leg and see what happens?
Well, a few cavemen probably realized that there were obviously cavemen that lived by the sea. I mean, there's also mussel shells in caves and in dugouts and things that are probably farmed by cavemen. See, cavemen is such an old term. Should we be calling them cavemen? So we'll just create our own term here and say that everything before discovering agriculture was a caveman, whether they lived in caves or not, because we are going to be, in our hubris, naming them cavemen, even though they'll be, So, so these cavemen, probably some living in India or in places where there's lots of spices, probably picked some plant and said, hey, I'm going to invent curry today.
I'm gonna in India. That's very okay.
I mean, if you take a few rice plants, which were probably abundant in some parts of India or China, you take some spices and you mix it together in like a stone bowl or something, and it's like, we have curry now. I feel sorry for the Europeans though, because I mean, from cavemen until colonialism, there isn't much in terms of. Yes, I didn't have bunny chow. There's not much in terms of flavor variety in Europe. It's just leeks and
potatoes.
Lentils, onions. No, potatoes aren't European.
Oh, they're not?
Potatoes are... No, they're from South America, dude. Same with tomatoes. The Italians never found a single tomato until about the 1600s. 1500s.
What the hell?
Yeah, like the pasta sauce and all the tomatoes and plants and things like that people generally like to associate with Italy and other places' cuisine, a lot of it comes from South America. Well, pesto is European because you can find basil and garlic and onions and things like that in Europe, naturally. Carrots too. Carrots are pretty
I can't wait to speak about colonialism, because can you imagine, it's literally like going to an alien world. There was just all this new Like, can you
Well-
imagine if we found a place that just had new, like, there was nothing similar to a tomato before we found tomatoes, right?
Yeah, I guess maybe horseradish. I don't know. Horseradish tastes terrible, though. So, yeah.
Yeah, tomatoes taste pretty good though.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on
also
who you
all the-
are.
Well, yeah. And speaking of food, here's another part of some pre-agricultural history. You know people that are lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
So, we started taking milk from cows and other animals in Europe and, the Middle East, and started drinking that. But see, the thing is, we don't process lactose very well. But we built up a resistance to it and eventually started producing the enzymes so we could
Yeah, I know about this. Yeah.
start drinking milk. Which is why a lot of people in East Asia who didn't, historically drink milk from animals as much as we did, there's a lot higher percentage of lactose intolerance in Asia. And my source for this is, so that I don't get called out for being, prejudiced, is a Kurzgesagt video about milk. I think they stated something like 97% of all people in East Asia is like lactose intolerant or something like that. Meanwhile, in North America and Europe, it's about only half of the people are lactose intolerant.
So in other words, the people that can't drink milk are normal.
Well, yeah, because the only time us as humans are supposed to drink milk is when we're babies with our
Yeah.
mothers. Taking another animal's milk for your own benefit is a pretty revolutionary idea.
Yeah. Take one that just
Yeah,
produces a lot, like a goat or a cow. It's just, yeah, it's pretty smart.
and it's nutritious if you got the enzymes for it.
I just want to know,
does.
and I know this has been asked before. I just want to know which guy stuck his mouth on a titty and just started sucking.
I mean, I would like to know as well who. I mean, he probably saw like a calf suckling on a cow or something, and then copied the mouth movements with his fingers, or just, I don't know, went ham with his own mouth as well. It's probably that weird caveman's like, Brug, please, you're being weird to the cow. It's like,
Stop touching the cow. Actually, you know what? Back then they probably cows. Let's just be honest.
I mean, probably, maybe.
It was
We don't
probably
know. They
just
never.
like it was probably normal.
Well, funny thing is, we haven't seen any saucy cave paintings, have we?
No, we
Along
actually
those
haven't.
lines. I mean, if you Google bestiality cave paintings, I don't know.
I'm not
That'd be a
googling
good
that.
idea.
I'm not googling that. If anyone googles it, just leave it down in the
Tell
comment
us in the comments.
section.
Yeah, leave it down in the comments. Click the like and subscribe button, and tell us what you see in the bestiality cave paintings, and
Tell me what
Yeah.
cow titties taste like.
yeah, and also if you want to recreate that beautiful
That
scene
revolutionary.
from 35,000 years ago, please videotape yourself going to your local farm and suckling off of a cow without getting your head kicked in. And also, we do not suggest you try this, and we are not sponsoring any personal bodily harm from. But I mean, if you succeed in actually suckling from a cow like a calf can, please send us the video and leave it in the comments. I mean, I would probably try it if I was really
what
hungry.
the fuck? I would not
Like-
suck a cow tit. I'm telling you now.
Like 20,000 years ago, if we just got out the ice age,
No, but that's different. Nowadays, you're just a freaking animal.
well, see, right now my milk comes in a little glass bottle delivered to my door.
Exactly. That's normal because that's just the milk that you're touching. But the second you start sucking on that little cow thing,
Nipple.
yeah, then that's when things get weird, and that's when you should probably get yourself checked out.
Well, see, today I'll get myself checked out, but I mean, back then, if I'm starving, hell, I'm going ham on that adder,
Yeah, you know what? Same. And then I'd figure out how to do it the easier way, and then I'd feel like an idiot.
in like a stone bowl with your fingers, and then you. So, essentially, people got those milk moustaches for a long time ago. I imagine he just comes out from under that cow and you're really disgusted that he tried that. He's just smiling with a grin with a milk moustache. Is there anything else we want to talk about in regards to cavemen and discovery of fire? Anything really that happened before we discovered agriculture?
Well,
art?
Oh yeah, you could speak about art. I mean, that's like the first artificial thing, like besides tools that humans started making. I mean, artificial being like made by humans.
You see, art is interesting.
Yeah.
Art is very interesting because
I mean, it can be interesting. Some art is just stupid, but anyways, yeah.
No, but like Scrimshaw, where people take bones and inscribe things on it, you know.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool because art is what it takes energy, you know. Energy that you could be using for hunting and surviving, but no, us humans decided, let's create something beautiful. And I think that's...
They were trying to represent an idea, you know?
And you don't see any other animal doing that.
No, you don't. I mean, elephants try. Have you seen, like, there's the one video of an elephant, like, holding a stick above its head, and it's trying to, like, show itself off.
Yeah, but that's copy behavior, remember? If we're trying to copy and teach an elephant to paint on an easel, it's copy behavior, not ingenuitive behavior, as we've discussed before. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, art is such a weird thing. I think that is really like we start seeing that ingenious part or that ingenious trait that humans have, and no other animal does that. That is literally, if I had to make a list of things that set us apart from normal, you know, animals and whatnot, I'd probably put art on there, because like, if I say tools, I can't say tools because monkeys use tools, elephants use tools. You know, it's not really. But then I go to human. I go to any other animal, and I can't see art. I don't see art. And if anyone can think of any art, I mean, like that animals do, just like let me know if I'm wrong. But I think that's completely unique to our species.
There was a quote by Stephen Hawking that really, stuck with me. So he said something about human beings being. I'm trying to find the quote on Google now. Well, here's what he said that really stuck out, and this connects to us with art and being able to appreciate things and write down memories. Stephen Hawking said, "We are just an advanced breed of monkeys on a minor planet of a very average star, but we can understand the universe, and that makes us something very special." And I'm inclined to agree with that.
No, I agree with that completely. Sure. It's just like, I don't even know what to say, because that kind of summarizes it perfectly. And that of course, you know, humans led to what is around today. You know, our society, all the wars that we've fought. I mean, of course, humans have done some really bad, but the stuff that we leave behind, at least in the form of art, is actually, you know, it's incredibly unique and, you know, incredibly special, and it's not something that you can really. There isn't much. Yeah, you can't take that away. I mean, even people in prisons, you know, in the gulags, still make art, you know.
Also, art can be used as a scare tactic as well, like all those effigies of like skulls and things that people hang outside there.
Yeah, I honestly think that we stole that idea though from. Actually, I also think, I have a feeling we stole art from nature, like just in general. We just stole art from nature.
Well, I mean, nature paints its own art, really.
Yeah,
just
so,
by living.
So if you think of nature as like a being that existed before us, and I don't know, we are the in this case, you know, we're the monkey, or the elephant, you know, monkeys. Copying, then maybe we also have some form of just copy nature, you know. Monkey see, monkey do.
We obviously have monkey see, monkey do, like, you know, when you can't do your maths homework and you ask your friend for his. And on that note, do you think we've got enough
Let's check the
talked
time.
about? Yeah.
It's
It's
been
an hour and 8 minutes.
Yeah,
Hour
that's
and 8
enough,
minutes.
hey. I think that's that'll be enough.
All right. Okay, so thank you everybody for listening. I'm Raymond and my co-host Cleveland. We are going to sign off now. Next week we are going to talk about the agricultural revolution and how we discovered plants and how they grow and how they can serve us.
How we bent
Alright.
them to our will and forced them to
We
do
bent the plants to our
forced
will.
them to do our thing. And I think if we speak about agriculture next week, we should also speak about GMOs. I think that would be pretty interesting. I mean, going into, we had those early kind of GMOs that didn't require gene altering.
Yeah.
I think we can wrap it up. Just let us know what you think in the comment section below. Anything that you would like us to change. If you like the podcast, leave a subscribe, turn on the bell, whatever you do.
Hit the bell.
Hit the bell. Hit it like the freaking Neanderthals got hit by by us.
Homo sapiens.
Genocide theory.
By us.
Yeah. And we'll see you next time.